And away we go. CBS Sports HQ Spotlight. Welcome. Chris Hassel, Amanda Guerra, Lige Duzable, and Danny Cannell. Cowboys got it handed to them last night in Buffalo. So the Eagles can take advantage of that tonight. If they win, they'll move right back to the top of the division.
They might have to do it without Jalen Hurts. Let's talk about that. Jalen Hurts dealing with an illness. He did, in fact, travel to Seattle. I don't think it was with the team, though. Yeah. We may have a flu game here. Apparently, he may try, don't know, Danny, with either a very sick Jalen Hurts or without Jalen Hurts. How's this looking for the Eagles?
It's going to be uphill sledding, I think is how they call it when you're going, potentially with a, not 100% Jalen Hurts, or if you go Marcus Mariota, the backup in this situation. But this, to me, is one of those must-win games for the Seahawks where you're going into one of the tougher environments to play. The Seahawks have their backs against the wall. It already was going to be a tough matchup. Now to do it potentially without Jalen Hurts makes it that much tougher. I will say this. I'm not worried about him missing any reps, not flying with the team. There's something about camaraderie and you're with your guys. Flying alone, I think, was the right move to make here. I'm sure he's getting IVs, all throughout the night and today, making sure fluids, whatever medicine try to knock out of him. I'll be surprised if he does not play.
Yeah.
You usually can figure, if it's a cold, if it's a flu, whatever it is, they will pump you full of antibodies, whatever they can to get you out there. But it does. So I was on the Broncos and I was a backup and I got food poisoning Thursday night before Sunday game. I was awful. And so I was, throwing up all day Friday, missed the entire Friday. On the flight to Baltimore, I had IVs on the plane. They were pumping through me. I finally felt enough where I could walk around and do stuff, but I didn't feel great. I felt slower, and I was slow enough as it mattered. So I'm curious to know what impact it has on Jalen Hurts if he does play, mobility-wise, energy level. I think you might see more of a in-the-pocket Jalen Hurts, who's already, which would probably be a good thing considering the injuries he's had and been dealing with that knee.
Well, DK, just knowing their competitor that Jalen Hurts is. Now, he had a 6th game last year that he played in. We could possibly get Drew Lock versus Marcus Mariota, backups versus backup, and this has been the year of the backup quarterback. But speaking of Jalen Hurts, you talked about it, right? If he's not up to par, and just like yourself, I had a game where I played in a flu-like game, right? It was against the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2013, and I looked good the first half, right? They gave me a Z-Pack, IVs, all this thing, but the second half I came out was lethargic. It felt like the medicine had ran its course. So that's something to keep an eye on if Jalen Hurts does play in this game, right? Where is his energy level in that second half? Because once that IV wears out of you and the initial, energy of playing in that game, that sickness really sits in. That's where you have to be mentally tough. I'm interested to see how he plays coming off that flu-like symptoms that he has. And also, we know Darius Slay isn't going to play this game. Keely Ringo is going to be able to start at corner, the rookie corner. That could be another issue for this Eagles team.
So you didn't have a Jordan flu game?
I played good. You know what? I had a sack and a half the first half, and a tackle for loss, but the second half was bad.
I threw a pick 6 to seal it for the Ravens to Ray Lewis.
I threw up at halftime. It was bad.
So it wasn't the Jordan flu game.
No. You talked about how important this game is for the Seahawks, though, but talking about it for the Eagles to take advantage of the Cowboys' loss. They're coming off back-to-back losses. They haven't looked spectacular all season. How crucial is this game, though, for the Eagles?
It's big as far as, staying in that, to keep as many home games as you can to potentially get that 1 seed, which really does look like the 49ers are in the driver's seat right now. I mean, they look like the team to beat. But I think also from a mental just confidence standpoint for the Eagles, who have been, incredibly up and down. Beginning of the season, they were losing ugly. Then they've lost a couple games, and you're like, wait a second, what is wrong with this team? What is wrong? Why isn't Jalen Hurts playing like the MVP candidate he was last year? Where is that defense that was getting after the passer and had so many sacks last year? The secondary's been a sieve. So there are a lot of issues. So I think from a confidence perspective, and don't forget, it looks like since they will have to go on the road to San Francisco potentially in the NFC Championship game, they need to learn how to win on the road. So there's a bunch of things in here that go into it for the Eagles.
Yeah, DK, you talk about a mentality, right? You talked about it, Amanda. They're coming off 2 losses, and then a lot of people are wondering if they're hitting the panic button, because let's not also forget, Sean Desai, supposedly he's had his play calling ability stripped from him, and Matt Patricia will call the plays on defense now. So a lot of people wondering, are they starting to panic because the Eagles aren't used to being in this position right now, where they panic deciding to go with Matt Patricia, who was on the offensive side of the ball last year in New England. England, who was a consultant, and now he's going to be calling the play calls. I think that's something weird about doing that week 15 of the season, right? You built that continuity up with
quietly,
Sean.
too.
Yeah, you built that continuity up with Sean Desai. There's rumors that have come out that some of the Eagles players felt a certain way about certain calls on defense, and that's starting to come out, and that's starting to be loud. So you worry about the Eagles. I think a big win kind of quells all that tonight if they get that done.
Blessing and a curse of getting to the Super Bowl last year. You had this huge success. You had the great run. You found your franchise quarterback, but you lost both coordinators.
Yeah.
And, I think you've seen speed bumps on both sides of the ball for the Eagles because of it.
Let's get a pick for that game tonight. Kind of hard to pick, I know, because we don't know who the quarterbacks are going to be in this game. But the Eagles are 3.5-point favorites in Seattle. Katie?
I'm going with an Eagles double result. I gave this out on Sportsline and on the Pick Six podcast on Thursday, so I'm sticking with it. Obviously, we don't know who's at quarterback for any of these teams, and Brinson seems to think that Hurts is not going to play today. But look, the Eagles are in a dogfight for that #1 seed, and I think that they could just pump Jalen Hurts up with some fluids and get him out there to see what he can do, because you don't want to put your future in the hands of Marcus Mariota. We've seen them multiple times be down at the first half of the game. They absolutely cannot do this and think that they're going to come back at a place like Seattle where the 12th man is very involved. So I love the Eagles to come out and win in the first half and then win in the second half. That is a double result, and you can find that at even money.
I don't hate the double result, although I think the Eagles have trailed some of the first half. They've been a little wobbly, as Pete Prisco likes to say. I'm going to take the Seahawks plus a 3.5. Drew Lock, Marcus Mariota, what a perfect matchup for this season, right? I think we're somewhere in the range of 20 to 22 teams that have started or used backup quarterbacks in significant fashion over the course of the year. I mean, it is the year of the backup quarterback. And I think if you're Philadelphia, you can't resign yourself to not getting the 1 seed, because you can still tie the Niners record-wise, but you got to catch them, of course, because they have the tiebreaker with the head-to-head. But I do think you can look at this and say, all right, we still need to win the division. We still need to make sure that we are the #2 seed, that we don't, let Dallas catch us. And you can let Jalen Hurts sit here when he's sick, not force him out there. Let Marcus Mariota play. Try to win with your defense and your run game, and then come back and just beat the Giants twice and take a hold of that division. So I'm going to take the Seahawks here, and I think they come out inspired. Plus, Drew Lock, a little bit of YOLO there, man. I like a little YOLO from Drew Lock.
Okay, Brinson, over 400 now for the season. You went 3-3 this week.
Hassel.
So the percentage goes up. You were down there 394. Now you're up Ted Williams territory, 403 with a few weeks to go. Will Brinson and Katie Mox can be heard on the Pick Six podcast. Scan that QR code. It'll take you there. Download, subscribe, listen wherever you get your audio. More HQ Spotlight coming up, including a DFS lineup for tonight.